Hi. I'm Lady Shasha, mistress of the snark, connoisseur of the gore, and your hostess with the mostest. Sorry, computer got slow for a hot second there. Okay, now we're gonna jump over to Variety. This is a movie that I had not heard of until I just happened to find this article. All right, headline. Well, let me say who wrote the article. It's Naman Ramachandran is the author, and the headline reads: Folk horror feature Thaw lands U.S. Yakut production deal at AFM exclusive. Sidom Barrel and Argentic Productions have signed a co-production agreement on Thaw, a horror feature written and directed by Yakutian filmmaker Stepan Bernashev. The deal signed at the American film market represents what is believed to be the first narrative feature co-production between a Yakut and an American film company. The mystical thriller takes place in a remote Yakutian village where an American filmmaker investigating thawing permafrost gets caught up in a local teenager named Sardana's shamanic initiation. The story explores the intersection of climate science and indigenous beliefs, blending documentary style observation with spiritual and psychological elements. In Western culture, experiences like this are often framed as possession requiring exorcism, Bernashev said. In Saka tradition, it is understood as the beginning of becoming a shaman, a calling, a responsibility. Thaw invites audiences to see this transformation, not as something to drive out, but something to understand. KT Kent of Argentic Productions described the project as a distinctive voice piece, elevated folk horror and cultural specificity, real place, and international upside. The production plans to assemble an international cast and creative team with a global theatrical and streaming release strategy. Thaw is eyeing a festival debut in late 2026 or early 2027. Bernashaw has emerged as a prominent figure in contemporary Yakutian cinema, known for atmospheric storytelling that blends modern life with indigenous Saka perspectives. In October, 4 of his films, Black Snow, Our Winter, Cursed Land Fate, and Aita, launched globally on Prime Video. He recently wrapped production on The Penthouse, a psychological thriller shot in Malaysia starring Soji Arai of Tokyo Vice and Pachinko. Ken founded Argentic Productions in 2017, focusing on genre content with thematic depth. Quote, "We're looking for projects that inform public discourse," Ken said. "How do old philosophies apply to modern life? How can you interpret events in new ways that challenge your perspective? We want you to leave the theater going, wow, I never thought of it that way. We want to make films that you'll still be debating over dinner the next week." Thaw fits that profile perfectly. Sidom Barrel is based in Yakutish in Russia's Sakha Republic, while Argentic Productions is based in Los Angeles. And that was very short, very short. But this is his picture here. I guess that is Sidom Barrel. The picture doesn't usually there is like a description underneath the picture of who is in the picture, but I'm guessing that's who is in the picture. But this is exciting news because there isn't I haven't I can't think of a Yakut film that I've ever seen. So this is pretty cool. Okay, so what's next? We have I think we have a psychological thriller. No, psychological body horror up next. So let's check out that article from Bloody Disgusting, written by Megan Navarro. Now, this young lady's face may look unfamiliar to you, but her father is very familiar to her. Her name is Aurora Perignon, and you might know her father from the Harold Perignon, who we know from Oz, Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, which he did. He and John Leguizamo did an amazing job in that Romeo and Juliet, and I don't like Shakespearean stuff at all. I find it truly boring. But Harold and John Leguizamo did an amazing job in that Romeo and Juliet movie. Now, his daughter is now starring in a psychological body horror movie called Rot. It says it's to feature ambitious practical effects and star Aurora Perrineau. I I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name correctly, or her name correctly rather. Aurora Perrineau from Westworld and Abraham's Boys, KJ Smith from Sisters, and Olivia Applegate from Love and Death, as well as Oregon Trail, are set to lead Rot, a visceral, female driven psychological body horror feature debut from writer director Kat Del Rey. Rot is gearing up for a spring production. Kat Del Rey is producing with Jesse Greer under the banner We're There Films. Set against an intimate, grounded backdrop, Rot follows Astrid, a woman whose body begins to turn against her in surreal, increasingly nightmarish ways as she's forced to confront everything she's refused to feel. Beneath the body horror is a story about shame, memory, and the terrifying, liberating act of finally telling your own truth. Additional casting is underway, but talent behind the camera includes cinematographer Andressa Cordero, VFX partners at Dexter Studios, and award-winning sound designer Rick Homrada. Ramadka. I think that's correct. Ramadka. I apologize if I mispronounce your name. Um, he's worked on The Strangers and The Wild Robot, whose collective work has been recognized by the Emmys, Grammys, and the Academy. And sound tends to be critical when it comes to getting under your skin with body horror. Quote, every cinematographer's dream as a script like Cats, and I am super excited by her visual take on how to achieve this, Cordero says. It is bold, original, and refreshing to see such an honest story being told in such an innovative way. We are exploring uncharted territory with Rot, and I couldn't have asked for better guidance than Cats. That uncharted territory refers to UTE's Rot's original creature that'll be realized through ambitious practical effects. UTE, I think, yeah, it's UTE, built in the spirit of 80s and 90s horror, will be brought to life on screen entirely through on set puppetry, with 5 different functioning puppets designed for specific purposes and emotional ranges. The characters described as, quote, a universal deeply relatable presence audiences can emotionally attach to on site, with the emotional resonance of Wally and the charm and generational grab of creatures like Gizmo from Gremlins. Much like how viewers connected with Wall-E, despite his mechanical non-human form, UTE is designed to evoke the same depth of feeling, only here she's a body part. Okay, something's going on in the chat. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Text, I already gave you an answer to what you were talking about and you didn't want to accept it. Either drop the subject or I'm going to have to put you in timeout because I already told you what I told you. And you're trying to argue with me about literally my own culture. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you didn't know because I do always refer to myself as a black person because I am black, but I am also indigenous. And when I tell you that I know from my own family history, I mean what I said. So put that whole thing to bed and let's get back to talking about horror movies because I told you what I told you. And you're trying to argue with me about my own culture. Like, no, we're not doing this. And I told you could look it up for yourself if you don't accept my answer. But we're talking about horror tonight, so let's get back on topic. All right. Now, where was I? I was talking about the practical effects that are meant to they're designing to use in this new movie Rot. Okay. There's only one last paragraph on this anyways. That gives some insight into what's already shaping up to be an exciting project featuring a blend of intimate psychological body horror, practical creature work, and a darkly comic descent into self confrontation and rebirth. Stay tuned for more on Rot as it arrives. And shout out again to Megan Navarro for writing that article. So then why do you not know that there are no, we're derailing again. We're not going to go into this. What you're basically doing is like arguing with me. It would be like if a person from Italy was arguing with a person from Ireland about what is European. They're both European, but their cultures are going to be different, and what's happening in one does not account for all. And knowing that there's thousands of indigenous nations, you cannot speak on all of them. That's that. Um, if it bothers you to see that they've put women in power on a TV show, write a series for yourself and put yourself in power. That's all I can say. You gotta, if you don't like what other people doing, sometimes you gotta make your own thing. But yeah, you seem to have some issues with sexism, so maybe you just work on that. I don't know what to tell you. Cause let's have some more fun talking about things here. We got some slasher movie stuff. That's always my favorite anyways, that always cheers me up, is slasher movie stuff.